Welcome back to the deep dive. You hand us the sources, the research, the articles, and we give you that intellectual shortcut.
And today is a fascinating one.
It really is. We're moving beyond abstract theory today to look at a highly structured spiritual practice. And it's derived directly from biblical sources.
Right.
It's an ancient system that claims to deliver, not just wisdom or comfort, but quantifiable, tangible results. We're talking total transformation and success.
It's a unique deep dive for us because the source material, it reads less like philosophy and more like a detailed operating manual.
An operating manual. I like that.
Yeah. It outlines this precise, almost mechanical process for how to make your path, as the scripture says, prosperous and how to achieve good success.
And that is our mission today, right? To
Yeah.
unpack that manual. Our core text is Joshua 1.8, which links meditation directly to those outcomes.
But the sources are so insistent that we have to redefine what meditation even means in this context.
Exactly. This isn't just, quiet reflection, not simple thinking. This is an active, structured spiritual technology aimed at producing real-world, undeniable results for you.
Exactly. When you look at the specific language, the specific disciplines, the source defines this as a mechanism powerful enough to initiate a radical change.
A change in what, exactly?
It aims to take the word,
Yeah.
the spiritual information, and convert it from something you just read, something you acknowledge in your head, into a dominant living force that actively shapes your environment.
Okay, let's unpack that spiritual alchemy, because this transformation, this is the most important part of the process for you, the listener. It's the mechanism that turns abstract knowledge into, executable power. So let's look at the spiritual trajectory. The sources describe this clear movement where the word shifts from the external page into your internal mind, and then ultimately it settles into your spirit.
That's the key synthesis point. The sources define a three-stage transition that really every piece of information has to go through.
And stage one is?
Stage one is simply information. This is what you grasp intellectually. You read a fact, you learn a principle, you grasp a concept. It's just head knowledge.
Okay, so it's like learning the definitions in a textbook, but not really knowing how to use them yet.
Precisely. And then through this process of active meditation, the information moves to stage two. That's revelation.
To revelation.
This is where the concept sinks past that intellectual filter and into the core of your being. It shifts from being something you know to something you deeply spiritually understand.
It's that eureka moment.
It is. It's the difference between reading a theory on a whiteboard and suddenly seeing the whole system click into place, and you know exactly how to apply it.
I love that. It's when the data moves from the short-term memory bank to becoming a core part of your internal operating system.
Right.
And that revelation then leads to the final destination, stage 3, which is manifestation.
Yes, manifestation.
Yeah.
The sources say this is the stage where that revelation actually becomes visible in your life, in your circumstances.
So the idea that started as just static information on a page becomes a dynamic, visible, real-world result.
And that's the ultimate application cycle. From a theoretical principle, say prosperity, to an actual lived experience of success.
The sources even claim the ultimate goal is for your life to become the living epitome of the word.
Which means you don't just know the principle, you embody it. The word becomes a dynamic, living force that you apply to everything. Your decisions, your emotions, how you handle a crisis.
And that connects this whole spiritual roadmap right back to our listener. If you're prepping for a huge presentation or trying to master some complex new skill, you need that information to move from the abstract concept you read about to a real-world result you can execute perfectly under pressure.
And these sources are suggesting this spiritual practice provides the exact process for that transition, from abstract thought to embodied reality.
Okay, and this leads us directly to what was, for me, the most surprising and honestly physically demanding detail in the source material.
I think I know where you're going.
The practice goes far beyond quiet, internal contemplation. It demands sustained, conscious vocalization.
Vocalization. Yes,
Yes.
This isn't just about reading quietly in a comfortable chair.
No, the sources explicitly state that this process involves, and this is the first level, muttering and talking under your breath.
Yes, this is level 1, and it's mandatory. The authors are extremely specific that just silent thinking is not enough for this spiritual shift to happen. You have to hear the information being processed.
Why the emphasis on sound? That seems so disruptive to our traditional ideas of meditation.
The sources explain that the purpose of this muttering, this talking stage, which they call an important key, is to ensure the word dominates consciousness.
Dominates consciousness.
Think about it. If you just think the word occasionally, it gets lost. It gets lost in all the mental clutter, the self-doubt, the worries about your day.
So the vocalization acts like a constant auditory feedback loop. It's crowding out all the mental static and noise,
Yeah.
a form of cognitive saturation.
Precisely. You have to constantly reinforce it verbally until that spiritual concept literally saturates your awareness.
Yes.
It has to become the dominant, loudest voice in your head.
And this sustained, almost murmuring reinforcement is what's claimed to be essential for that permanent and undeniable success from Joshua 1.8.
It's all about consistency of focus.
Okay, so level 1 is cognitive saturation through muttering.
Mm-hmm.
But the sources don't stop there. They tell you to graduate from muttering to what they call the third and higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And that is shouting, or get this, roaring. That sounds incredibly physical.
It is a radical shift. They even provide the specific terminology from the Hebrew tradition, Haggah, which is associated with this strong, persistent, sometimes guttural roar or shout.
Mhm.
Haggah is not quiet reflection. It implies a continuous, audible utterance.
So this is a far cry from a typical quiet time. How do the sources justify this strenuous, loud, physical action as a spiritual benefit?
Well, the claim is that this constant roaring is specifically meant to be done in victory and celebration.
Not a desperate plea.
No, not at all. It's an active, celebratory declaration of the successful outcome before it even manifests. And the physical act of doing this, of shouting a principle of power or success over and over, is said to produce specific spiritual benefits.
Such as?
A radical increase in boldness, a fortification of your faith, and instantaneous insight or clarity.
That's fascinating. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it moves the spiritual discipline out of the realm of passive reading and into an active, almost athletic discipline.
It really does.
You're physically exercising your voice and your breath to create an internal state of success and confidence.
You are literally training your spirit and your psyche. By roaring the word, you are, in effect, creating and sustaining the internal conviction you need to manifest the results. It's about developing spiritual muscle mass through repetition and vocal effort.
So if we maintain this intense discipline, this commitment to alignment and vocal saturation, what are the claimed long-term results?
Well, the fundamental and immediate result cited is alignment.
Alignment.
The sources say that consistent meditation aligns your thoughts with God's thoughts, and it synchronizes your words with His will. Think of it as recalibrating your entire navigational system.
So your internal operating system gets a radical overhaul. You're essentially ensuring that what you think, what you say, and what you feel are all in perfect harmony, all directed toward that successful outcome.
Yes, you're eliminating all the counterproductive, fear-based, or negative thoughts that might sabotage your actions.
And the sources are incredibly bold in their claims about the ultimate effect of this consistency.
They are. The more you meditate, the more the word dominates your senses, emotions, and circumstances.
The result being a shift in perception. You start to see and speak not from a place of human limitation, but as God does.
And that's the mechanism, according to the sources, through which the impossible becomes possible.
Because you're no longer limited by what your eyes see, but by what your synchronized discipline.
By what your consciousness dictates, that's a massive claim of internal power.
It is, and the supporting scriptures, they really reinforce this connection between deep dedication and observable, tangible success.
Right. Take 1 Timothy 4.15. The instruction there is incredibly demanding. It says to give thyself wholly to them, meaning, completely dedicate yourself to this meditation and learning.
And the guaranteed result isn't just internal peace. The result is that your profiting may appear to all. That's a crucial detail.
It is. The results must be visible, evident to others. This is about observable, real-world success.
Then we also have that beautiful imagery from Psalm 1.1 through 3. It equates the person who meditates not just with success, but with this rock-solid stability, unending vitality.
The person who delights in the law of the Lord day and night is compared to a tree planted by the rivers of water.
That tree imagery is so important, especially for anyone trying to navigate a challenging, turbulent environment.
Yeah.
A tree by the water is resilient, it doesn't dry up when things get tough.
Precisely. The imagery is so rich, their fruit appears in season, so they're productive when it counts. Their leaf will not wither, which means unending vitality. And crucially, whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
It speaks to an enduring success that isn't dependent on temporary favorable circumstances.
No, it's dependent on the internal sustenance provided by that consistent meditation practice.
And circling back to our core scripture, Joshua 1.8, the Amplified Version really spells out the reason for the success. It links it directly to cognition and action.
It says that meditation ensures the person will observe and do according to all that is written.
Which means the practice is designed to translate that mental alignment into intelligent, correct action.